Okay, we are back. This is the show where Minnesota fans talk about the NFL, where Vikings fans talk about the NFL. If you missed our first video, we kind of explained a little bit what got us into this. Obviously, we're very new to this and not that professional yet, but see a need for something other than the mainstream views to analyze the NFL. It just seems like there's stories that go unnoticed, and as fans of a team like the Minnesota Vikings, we kind of pick up on that. And so we thought we enjoy talking about the NFL, and we thought, well, hey, let's do this and see how it goes. So
Yeah.
basically, we've just been giving our overview, our hot takes of the games, and last week or in the last video we gave some predictions for the season that we'll have to wait for the season to see how they turn
Yeah.
out. But yeah, we're recording this on Wednesday between week 1 and obviously tomorrow night. I'm sorry, week 2. Obviously tomorrow night starts week 3 games. But what's your overview, your vibes, Christopher, of after week 2?
So my overview vibes are that I'm pretty surprised. I think week two is pretty surprising in a lot of ways.
There were a lot of upsets.
A lot of upsets. Um, and we can kind of go over some of those things. But um, I also think about the like typically week one people talk about in the NFL like you're supposed to just throw away week one, and I'm curious, is this week two surprise, is this just more signs that people haven't played in the preseason and so now we need to throw away week one and week two, or is this a sign of how the season's going to go? Like, is it just going to be a surprising season?
You have followed NFL, or like the totality of NFL, more than I have in recent years. And so I don't like, to me it seemed like this year there were a lot of players who did not play in the preseason. Is that normal, or is it true that that was kind of unique this year?
um I would say it's pretty normal. I think it's just ramping up. Like I think what I noticed this year is even less. Um, but I would say it's normal for the trajectory of how things have been going the last 5 years. I would say, like Kirk, for example, Kirk never played in the preseason to my knowledge. Unless I missed something. If he did, he maybe played a snap or two. Whereas Sam Darnold played like half a game, I think. Um,
So
but
Kurt,
but
did,
yeah,
would
but like those bigger name, more established players very rarely play in the preseason anymore.
I guess what I was referring more to, like they would have still been a part of training camp though, right? Like they would have
Oh,
been
for
taking.
sure.
Whereas it seemed like you had, like, did Jamar Chase participate in training camp at all? He was there, but did he participate?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that's what they call the Holden, like a Holden, and I think teams are trying to stamp that out, or I think the NFL wants to stamp that out, where because they show up, they technically can't get fined, but then they just don't participate, because he's trying
Yeah.
to work out a contract, um, which the Vikings did not have an issue with.
and then there's people like Hassan Reddick who are just not showing up, and that's why he's getting fined,
There's
or what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's holding out of camp. And that is a finable offense, I guess, by the team, I think. Um, but but there's also like veteran things, like veterans get extra days off and stuff. I'm not sure if that's a training camp thing or if that's just like mini camps, but I
Interesting.
should look into that more.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else on your kind of general vibes after week 2?
It's wild that the Packers won. I think it's also probably even more wild that the Raiders won.
And the Packers had what, like 56 runs, or
Yeah, I don't think that's
something.
sustainable.
Yeah, but hold it.
Um, yeah, I feel like I've been pretty zeroed in on the Vikings in the NFC North. I think
Yeah.
that it is not surprising that the Bears lost and played poorly. I feel like you could have seen that coming a mile away. Um, and it is not surprising. I think we both predicted the 49ers to win just because we were unsure, and that's
You
like
have to
the
respect them. Yeah.
yeah, you have to respect the
Yeah.
Niners. But it's also not surprising to me. Like I had a feeling. I was like, especially like listening to Phil Mackey on Purple Daily.
The
He
fact that
was
they
he
haven't won. Yeah.
yeah, he was talking about it as being a trap game for the Niners, which I don't think it ended up being a trap game. I think they played very well, but it was like a um not surprising to me that the Vikings won.
Yeah. So I think my overview is the same. Like I'm not surprised. Like I definitely wanted them to win. I thought they could win. They had beat them last year, and I thought O'Connell
Yeah,
has
yeah.
shown and Flores have shown that they have a bead on Shanahan and whatever they're doing there in
Hmm.
49ers. But I wasn't sure, and you have to respect them. I thought the 49ers looked very fast and like improved actually from the Super Bowl in week 1. So I was nervous going into week 2. Yeah, that's why I picked them. I'm assuming you saw the Brock Purdy's comments to Flores about
Oh
his
yeah,
scheme being crazy.
yeah. The
Um,
scheme is crazy, bro.
yeah,
That's it.
scheme is crazy, man. And then even the I noticed this before, like Friday and Saturday before the game. Nick Bosa talked about it. Like Nick
Yeah,
Bosa said before the game, he said something to the effect of like we're gonna have a harder time this coming week than like he it kind of cast
interesting.
shade on the Jets, and then he kind of like
Yeah,
reworded it a little bit. I found that interesting. Obviously,
yeah,
as a Vikings fan, I'm like, yeah, I want that, but like to see that the Niners themselves were coming into the game knowing that they needed more prep and more whatever than the
yeah,
Jets. Um, and I think like if you didn't see the game, you look at a 23-17 score and that doesn't look that significant, especially considering the fact that the 49ers ran for
right.
however many yards. Did they run for 400 yards or they just got 400 yards total? I should I should know that stat offhand. But
Um, I'm thinking it was running because they ran a lot.
yeah, they did run a lot. Um, Even so, I don't think they had any running touchdowns. Um, and so, but just the physicality, like the way I didn't watch the game, but I was listening to it, most of it, and the Vikings had control of that game the whole time
Yeah,
long. And it
yeah,
should have been a blowout. So you could kind of fault the Vikings, I suppose. And yet Fred Warner had a great pick of Darnold, and then even more superb probably has been the two punch outs he's had after 2 weeks, like the punch out of Aaron Jones. Like
yeah. That was
that's
just total yards.
400 was total
Yeah,
yards. Okay.
yeah,
Um. So I was just like it was a good heavyweight fight. I was excited to see that, and it definitely gave me a lot more. Like after the Giants, that was fun, but it gave me
right.
a lot more of a feel like, yeah, actually, what we see as Vikings fans through the training camp and preseason games and so forth, like is legit. This team is something different than what we've seen before.
Yeah,
Um, I some other takeaways from the week is it was interesting to me. Like I actually, and we might get into this a little bit more. I actually thought the Chiefs played worse in week 2 than the 49ers played in their week 2. I think a lot of people have dropped the 49ers down in their power rankings and so forth, and the Chiefs are still high, but I thought the Chiefs looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I'm not super high yet on the Bengals, although it's Burrow and Chase, like they'll probably be contenders by the end. But I just thought the Chiefs played really bad, and that's why the game was so close. And then the other takeaway that I have is I genuinely thought the Eagles would be better. I thought, okay, like they've improved. I thought it was probably a good move for Sirianni to just be head coach and not
Yeah.
call. But after seeing, like, a lot of people have highlighted the dropped pass by Barkley,
Yeah.
but the coverage on Cousins was so
Yeah.
soft all night
Yeah.
long, and we're like we know what Cousins is like, and so to me that just looked like that's Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
The Vikings had Ed Donatel a couple years ago, who comes from Fangio's tree, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah.
They both play the cover two shell or whatever. The main goal is to keep the ball between you and the end zone as defenders, but there's no pressure on the quarterback then. And
Yeah.
the Eagles should have won by at least 2 scores. Like the Falcons did not play that superbly
Right.
well, in my
Right.
opinion. But because of the weak defense, then it stresses either Jalen Hurts, who throws a fairly bad pick, and then the drop pass by Saquon Barkley. But my takeaway was like, I think the Eagles have a very good chance of missing the playoffs just because of their defense, like how soft their defense is. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah.
I'm not giving that as a hot take. That was kind of
Right.
my observation after watching the Monday
Yeah.
night game.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they go moving forward. They seem like they're just organizationally not in the healthiest place, even where they were
Yeah.
like two years ago. Um,
Is there, like, you live in Philly, so I don't know if you pick up. My sense is I don't think Hertz and Sirianni have that good of a relationship. Is that true?
I don't really know. I know that Philly wanted to fire Sirianni last year, um, which is
You're
insane
saying
to me.
Philly fans.
Yeah, Philly fans,
Oh,
which is at the time felt insane to me because he just took you to the Super Bowl. But I'm
he
beginning to
did.
maybe kind of see what. So let me backtrack a little bit. Some fans really love him. Some fans really love the kind of cocky vibrato. Um,
Interesting. It strikes me as like insecure a little bit, but
well, that's what it's starting to me. I feel like it's starting to come through that way,
yeah.
and it's so different than Jalen Hurts, who's just like this kind of quiet, steady, um, professional, very just like um very confident, but like kind of unassuming demeanor. And I
Hmm.
feel like
Hmm.
those two cultures are opposing, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Like, I really question. I don't think the team is that well coached. This is another kind of overview. I was showering one of the last 7 days, or one of the last three
It's
days.
good to hear.
Um, and I was just thinking about, I think this is the year, and maybe this is true of every year. It's just this year, our team, the Vikings, like we're seeing it come through for the Vikings. But I think it could be the year of differentiating good coaches from bad coaches, because you have the Vikings, who I think are going to surprise a lot of people because the personnel flies under the radar, but the coaches, I would argue, and the reason I'm saying this is because I've been hearing it even on uh, like Brian McFadden with CBS, I think it is, and then some different people, ESPN or NFL Live, I forget who it was, like are highlighting this as well, that the Vikings are one of the best coach teams
Yeah,
in the NFL. And so I think they're going to surprise people. The personnel doesn't necessarily wow you all around. Um, Whereas you look at somebody like the Eagles, they have a personnel. They should be contenders. Obviously, they
Yeah.
have the Cowboys and the 49ers to face. I guess the 49ers aren't in their division, but generally, we over the last several years, we think of like the Eagles, Cowboys, and 49ers all like clustered together. And
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys and the 49ers outpace them significantly in being better coached.
Yeah.
And even the Packers, like the Packers have an injury. I think the Packers are going to be better because they have a good coach, better than what we might
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
in light of the injury.
Packers are kind
Um,
of where the Vikings were last year.
yeah, yeah. And then even you look at the Rams who are just slaughtered with injuries. Like, I don't know how McVay will do it, but I think he's going to find ways to keep them
Yeah.
somewhat decent. But yeah, you alluded to this earlier, but I am so glad we don't have the drama of contract issues,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I even think I have to wonder how much the fact that Justin Jefferson, is not like he didn't strike me as a drama queen through that whole process. Maybe I'm
Oh no,
completely
yeah.
wrong, or
No,
maybe the
no.
front office like handled it super well. I just look at some of these other guys, Jamar Chase especially. I
Yeah.
was thinking about as he threw a fit on the field because he thought he should have
Yeah.
a drop hip tackle or hip drop tackle, however you say it. Um, and it just struck me as like, I think this dude is somewhat of a drama queen. Period. Like whether it has to do with his contract, whether it has to do with whatever, and that dynamic just can't be like that healthy for a locker room, for culture. And
Yeah.
I'm glad the Vikings don't have that, at least that
Yeah.
we can tell. But
No, I followed Jefferson's contract pretty closely over the last 2 years because they tried getting it done at the beginning of last year and then shelved it for the season. And then Jefferson got injured last year during like mid contract negotiation. But he was on the field, he was celebrating wins. Like I saw some of the in game um what do you call it, like hot mics or whatever. Like he was just right in the thick of all of the craziness of last year, being
yeah,
encouraging, being a teammate, and then went into the off season. Obviously, came into training camp, and like you could tell, like just some of the things like the coach was saying and the GM was saying about like even after the draft, how Quasey, they drafted J.J. McCarthy, and then people were asking him about Jefferson's contract, and he was saying, like, Jefferson deserves a month-long celebration or whatever of his contract. And that's pretty much what happened. I forget when they signed him, though. It was before training camp. Soon, maybe.
it was after the
Um,
draft and everything. Yeah,
yeah. And just like that whole time, like obviously Jefferson didn't. I mean, number one, he's like a veteran by now. He's also just played at the top of his game, and so there's some like wiggle room as far as him like showing up to all of the activities and stuff. Um, but also it's understandable. Someone's negotiating a contract. You don't want to get injured during that period. And so, like, some of those early spring activities and stuff, it's understandable maybe that he wouldn't participate. But there was like no like subtle messaging on on social media. There was no like unfollowing of the team or anything like that. It was just like he was going to Paris, he was doing his thing, and then they signed him, and he's been a team player the whole time.
yeah. They were so chill about it in the offseason. It almost made me wonder if they actually hadn't already dealt with the contract
Yeah,
earlier than what it was announced. I
Could
don't
be,
maybe
yeah.
maybe
I,
not,
I
but
I don't really know how that works, but
I don't either. I just heard somebody say that and kind of agreed.
yeah. They
um,
certainly there was a mutual desire to for him to stay in Minnesota, and it
yeah,
seemed like that was communicated, and the matter was just like negotiating the price.
yeah, and at the end of the day, like I'm just really grateful that that's taken
Yeah,
care of, and we can just play.
yeah.
They can play football, and we can watch. Um, so let's take a look at what we predicted for week 2. You have a winning record coming out. It all hinges
All right.
on the fact that you had more belief in Aaron Rodgers than I did. Um, so the 49ers lost. The Vikings beat them fairly handily, so
Hmm.
we missed that prediction. The Seahawks beat the Patriots as we predicted.
Yep.
Commanders beat the Giants as we predicted.
That was a
Um,
funny game.
I did not pay attention to that game at all. What was funny about
The
that?
Commanders won on 7 field goals.
Are you serious? There was no
Yeah,
touchdown.
they
Holy.
didn't score a touchdown. The Giants scored 3 touchdowns, missed the extra point, and then went for two and missed, and went for two again and missed.
Oh
Eighteen
wow.
21. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
That's crazy. Interesting. Um so the Chargers beat the Panthers. It was not a 40-point win. Like I think you had
I
thrown that
forgot
on
I
there.
said that.
It was 26-3, which
It
was a
was
pretty
it was
handy.
still a blowout.
But we'll give the prediction a success rate. The Saints shock everybody, and I think that's the question that a lot of us have is like, what in the world happened there?
Yeah,
What was the final score? 44-19?
44-19. Yeah, against Mike Zimmer defense.
Yeah. Phew. So the Saints maybe just one thing that they have is a healthy Kamara. Like we haven't seen
That's
Kamara
true.
run for a
It's
couple of
been
years now,
yeah,
and I've kind of just counted him out. But maybe he's just healthy and back, and yeah. Um, and the Cowboys' run defense is what's weak. They have a very fast defense. Their their linebackers are light and agile, but they're not
yeah,
weighty. They're not heavy. Can just stop from plowing through. The Colts did not beat the Packers. The Packers pulled off that win, as we mentioned earlier, on over 50
yeah.
carries on their run game. Also, I think I did not pay a whole lot of attention to this game either, but it sounds just from what I was seeing like maybe Richardson had some careless throws in there as well. Um,
Yeah, I think.
the Jaguars. Are you surprised the Jaguars are 0-2 now?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I think I thought they were gonna be better. But yeah, I don't really know what's going on down there. I'm
Yeah.
more probably surprised that the Browns won.
Oh, okay. That they and there was some. I saw a couple highlight reels. Like Watson didn't look half bad in that
Yeah,
game. Um, the Jets beat the Titans, which I thought the Titans would come away with that win. It was a come from behind win, so that's twice now where the Titans have basically coughed up a lead, which will be interesting to see
they're
what.
they're they're missing their running back.
Yeah, Buccaneers beat the Lions, which we both thought that would happen. I'm seeing a lot of
Yep.
narrative around like the Lions not playing well or being coached well, but yeah, I think the Buccaneers are just a better team personally. But
Yeah.
the Raiders beat the Ravens. Like, what's going on with the Ravens? Obviously, they played relatively well with the Chiefs. I
Yeah.
thought in week 1 for a week 1 game, but then they lose to the Raiders. One of the things that I'm seeing, I did not watch this game, this game, I thought about it in against the Chiefs, and then I heard about it some more. Is it seems like they only use Henry when he's running, which makes him which
Yeah,
makes it predictable of how to defend. Oh, if he's on the
yeah.
field, they're going to be running. I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on that game?
I, n- not a lot of other thoughts. I think, yeah, it's interesting. I kind of imagine they'll pull out of it. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
we'll have to see.
they definitely have the personnel and the coach. Like generally, I think of Harbaugh and his coaching staff as being pretty good.
Right.
But um, who's the Raiders QB right now? Is it Minshew?
I think so. Let me
I
quickly look.
saw I saw he had a incredible throw, or maybe Adams's catch was more
Yeah,
what
it's
was
Minshew.
incredible about it. But
Yeah, I think also, like, I think I maybe just didn't give the Raiders enough credit that
they're
they may actually be good.
yeah, and their
Because
defense, like with
yeah,
Crosby, yeah, their defense is
yeah,
good. So the Rams got blown out by the Cardinals, which when I first saw the score for that score, I think at that point they already had over 40 points. Um, but I didn't realize. I was like, "What the world?" But I did not realize how injured the Rams were.
yeah.
They and even
I
Cooper Cup got injured in that game, I think, and
yeah.
um, yeah,
Both both Cup and Nakua are on injured reserve. I had Puka Nakua in my fantasy.
yeah. The Bengals lost to the Chiefs. We've already kind of talked about that. I was like, maybe we'll get to the end of the season. It's like, oh, this is classic Chiefs versus Bengals. I was just kind of surprised how bad the Chiefs played. I thought with how they looked in week one, Xavier Worthy came out looking great and everything. I actually thought they looked kind of bad. Like I thought they would come in and kind of make the Bengals look bad for the way they trash talk them. Um, but they almost gave legitimacy to the trash talk.
Yeah,
The Steelers beat the Broncos. Bo Nix has yet to throw a.
nobody's
Actually,
surprised.
yeah, nobody's surprised. The none of the rookie QBs have thrown any touchdowns yet, have they?
Is that Jaden? Jaden didn't throw a touchdown
Let me
last week.
quickly look it up. I don't think. I was thinking.
Do you remember after the draft, um, Sean Payton pretending like he had baited the Vikings to jump up
Yeah, no.
and
Daniels has
draft?
not thrown a touchdown yet.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Did you ever see like the press conference afterward where they were talking about it and Peyton looks to the GM. He's like, "Hey, do
Yeah,
you want to take this question?" Like he looks so miserable. Like he did not want to.
yeah,
But now, like all the talk is as though this was the guy that he wanted.
yeah,
Do you think that's real?
yeah. I, I, I think Peyton. I don't know. I don't like Peyton. I don't like Sean Payton. I don't think
Yeah,
he's a great person, and so I wouldn't at all be surprised if he's just blowing steam. But I don't know. But I mean, I'm not a film geek, and so I don't really know. He was in college for like 6 years, and that could be a lot of good experience, or it could just mean he never was good enough to
like
like
yeah,
enter the draft. Because usually, if you're for sure, if you're like a star player, you're gonna enter the draft,
yeah.
pretty early.
One thing I just like I am not at all surprised to see these rookie quarterbacks struggling. Like
Yeah,
they may be fantastic quarterbacks, and in a few years they may be the top of the league.
right.
I'm just personally not like that's why I think all the hype around even Daniels, but most of the hype was around Williams. Like I just think it's kind of foolish because
Yeah.
rookie quarterbacks always seem to struggle a little bit, but
Yeah. And that seems like
um
that would be understandable.
yeah. CJ Stroud and the Texans beat the Bears, which we
Yeah.
predicted. I wasn't like I wasn't sure what to take away from that game. Watching the game, I was like, nothing about this feel like the way the Bears defense got after and made Stroud scramble and stuff. Like that didn't look. We've seen that. We've seen probably more intense pressure from the Vikings, and so going looking at playing the Texans this week, I was kind of like, oh, this looks
Hmm.
doable. Like I wasn't overly impressed
Hmm.
with the Texans, but
Hmm.
then again, I'm like, well, am I just completely underrating how good the Bears defense is? Like maybe I didn't think it was anything that special,
Maybe.
but maybe everybody
Yeah.
has the Bears rated pretty high. But
Yeah. It'll definitely be an interesting game. I'm excited about it. I like CJ Stroud.
yeah,
There's some revenge aspects for the Vikings with um,
yeah.
Diggs and
Hunter.
Hunter.
I
Um,
don't. Is it revenge with Hunter? It's. I mean, he's kind of like a
no,
good family friend. He just got
yeah,
paid, and we didn't want to pay him.
yeah, we're all better off for it. Um, yeah, that's probably not revenge. Um,
he had. I think he had like 3 sacks on Williams in that game.
yeah, I mean, this was, he was worth it. He just
Yeah.
not a fit for us. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that I think the Bears defense is good. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we fare, how Flores fares against a sophomore quarterback.
Yeah.
Um,
I was impressed, and this has always impressed me about CJ Stroud, like his poise and just his
yeah,
ability to lead the off. Like he's very clearly leading the offense. He's not.
right.
He looks hands and feet, head heads and shoulders above like the rest of
Williams.
the
Yeah.
QBs. Well, Williams or the QBs in his class, like his
Oh, for sure.
that are yeah. And his like he did very well at throwing dots even when scrambling. Like he didn't look as Williams' throws were kind of desperate. A couple of them were intercepted, whereas Stroud's were he was directing his receiver while running
Yeah.
and then threw to him and
Did
completed.
you
Yeah.
see? Did you see their exchange after the game?
Yeah, I did.
This Stroud told Williams to stop taking those hits, and Williams was like, "I know, I know." Williams did not seem interested
In the
in
advice
in
of
in the advice from his opponent, which
I,
is fair. I would have a hard time taking advice from someone who just beat me,
I
but
yeah, I would too. I would be like, I'm not sure you're the one to give advice right now, but I mean, it might be a little different. Tom Brady to Patrick Mahomes after a Super Bowl loss or
right,
something. I don't know, but
yeah,
anyways, finish this out. The Falcons beat the Eagles, which
that was
I
surprising.
had said would be kind of fun to see.
Yeah,
As it turns out, it didn't really it didn't quite feel as satisfying as I thought it would because it sort of felt like the Eagles should have won that game.
yeah.
And
I went to bed
well,
after the 2 minute warning, thinking the Eagles were just gonna like finish it out.
it's fun. Cousins has a great 2 minute drill. Um, we've seen it. He does very well coming back when he's down. He stays in,
Yeah,
but I don't know that he'll ever like. There's very few games where he's going to go and dominate the game, like having
yeah,
control the game.
yeah.
Um, so, anyways, you are after week 1. You are 8-7. I'm 7-8.
All right.
So kudos to you. More belief in Aaron Rodgers. You've always had more belief in Aaron Rodgers than I have. I just don't like it. Like I think
Yeah,
he's
he's. I don't like him either.
narcissistic.
He is.
So so after you look at week 2 and as you're looking out let's each give one hot take. Like, what's our hot take? I don't know. That seems to be the thing to do. Um, but like, what's something that like you
To
want to
do hot
say?
takes.
You want to say that it's like you're not sure. A lot of people would
Yeah,
push
yeah.
back, and yeah,
I have hot takes mostly because I haven't done the homework to have reasonable takes.
well, isn't that? I mean, even the best of the best, the
Yeah.
best football shows, it seems like they're kind of ignorant hot takes sometimes. But
Kurt
anyways,
Kurt Kurt Warner was going off about that. It's like how do you guys go on shows Monday morning and talk about every single game as if you watched the film?
yeah,
Because I think he sits down. I think he watches every single snap
he
of every
goes through.
game. Yeah.
Remember that Raiders game where Dobbs
Yeah.
couldn't score, and then he went through and like basically defended Dobbs,
Yeah.
but like went through all the yeah. No, he's like the research guru of the NFL.
Yeah.
He doesn't just write; he researches.
Um, hot take. Ooh. Um, oh man, I don't know if I really have a hot take for after this week. I think I don't know if this is a hot take right now, but I think my go-to would be that the Vikings are gonna, but um, but I
Ooh,
don't know how
oh,
hot that is. Is that hot?
is that that's hot because nobody thinks that. Like
Yeah,
even now, the Rich Eisen show has yet to really talk about it.
yeah. I tried tweeting them, they didn't respond.
I have a bunch of Eagles fans that I work with
Oh yeah,
LifeX marketing, and none of, like they're all like, "Oh, you didn't even see the Niners win coming, did you?" And I'm like, "Well, I pulled up a screenshot
it's
of a thing I had said back in August. I said I don't
uh,
expect much, but I think the Vikings will surprise a lot of people."
yeah. The I think that's what I find annoying about being a Vikings fan. No, is like living in big market. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily the market size as much as just like flyover country. I don't know if it's because it's flyover country because people talk about the Packers.
Yeah, the Packers, they're not even from a big city.
No, they're the
Why do they get so
small.
much
They're like
love?
one of the smallest markets in. I mean, I think it's just because they're so historical. You know,
Yeah.
they
Are
had
they
Coach
the oldest?
Lombardi. No, the Cardinals are the oldest actually.
Oh, the Cardinals
Um,
are.
yeah, they
Interesting.
used to be the Chicago Cardinals. Um,
I didn't know that.
the Packers are the second oldest team, I think. But they're just like their iconography hasn't changed since like the 20s. They won the first two Super Bowls. Their coach's name is on the trophy, and they've been really good for 30 years. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's like the Patriots might actually fall off because they're not any good right now. But if they had moved seamlessly from Tom Brady, Belichick into like success, then we might still be talking about the Patriots more. Except people do still.
Yeah.
It's just I forget what I was going off about. I was talking about something about the Vikings. Just yeah. Oh, people just don't pay attention. Like Jefferson is underrated. Um, like the fact that people were comparing CD Lamb to Jefferson shows me that they only look at statistics and they do not follow and they do not watch Vikings games because there's
Yeah.
no way you watch Vikings and watch Lamb and think, oh, these two are in the same stratosphere.
Hmm.
Those they also forget that Jefferson was out for 6 games last year.
Yeah.
Like he put up those stats having played 3/4 of the season. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to me, it just goes to show that people just don't pay attention to the Vikings, which is whatever. It is what it is. But
And in all fairness, the the Vikings need to do something, right? It's kind of like the Twins in the playoffs. Like you win in the
Right.
playoffs, and then we'll
Yeah,
start
for
looking
sure.
at you. No, the public masses aren't looking at the fact that Kevin O'Connell has that team playing 500 ball with backup QBs. Like since
Yeah.
Cousins went down injured with backup
Yeah.
QBs, and then guys like Sam Darnold, he has the team playing 500 or better
Yeah.
football. And how many, like even Zach Taylor with what's that guy's name, who was a really good backup QB for Cincinnati
Oh,
last year.
yeah,
Like I don't think
they
he
beat
even went
us. Yeah.
500.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Shoot, I forget his name.
So yeah, I think, is that your hot take? The Vikings are going to win the North.
Yeah, I mean it's maybe a little bit overly Viking centric, but that's fine. It's mostly what I pay attention to.
I'm still sharing this page. I didn't mean to be
That's
sharing
fine.
it. Vikings will win the North. So my hot take is, I want to say something more specific, but I think I'm going to go a little more conservative and just say that the Eagles will miss the playoffs.
All right.
I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I want to say something more specific to their coach, but are they, like, is the ownership there trigger happy at all? Do you think they would do a midseason firing?
I don't know. I don't know that they would do mid-season. I do remember just being shocked that they fired Peterson after, what was it, 2 or 3 seasons after winning the Super Bowl. Um,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I just
but
think, go for it.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't do well if he would get fired at the end of the season.
Yeah. So my hot take was going to be like that Sirianni will be the first coach fired, but I'll stay away from that and just say I think they missed the playoffs. Okay, now we're going to do something. We're going to try this. Colin Cowherd with the Herd has a herd hierarchy, and it's basically his power rankings, his top 10 power rankings. I guess we didn't decide. Are we just going to rearrange his 10, or are we just going to critique how would we rank the 10, or just kind of walk
Um,
through?
I would let's rearrange it.
Okay.
That way we don't
So,
have to make any judgment calls necessarily on teams.
yeah, just based on the 10 that he has, do we agree with that, or would we rearrange them? We'll play this and then
Yeah.
we'll go through it together.
Entering week 3, yeah.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin. Number 10.
Yeah, their next 4 opponents are 1-7. The Bengals are fine at 0-2. If you can go to Arrowhead against maybe the best defense in the league, arguably, Andy Reid has extra time, Mahomes, and shut down Travis Kelce and outplay the Chiefs, double their yards in the fourth, you're fine. Zach Taylor's teams don't do well in September. Joe Burrow doesn't do well. I'll say it again. About the time pumpkin spice lattes are available at Starbucks, that's when they're good. T. Higgins coming back. I like this team. Quarterback, pass
available.
rush, weapons. I like them. I don't care. They're 0-2. That team can beat anybody, anywhere, any weather. I do think they miss Joe Mixon a little, but we'll see. I like the team. Bengals 10.
Number 9.
Listen, the Niners have the second highest graded offense in the league. Now, they're beat up offensively. That's why I put them back at 9. Here's what I really worry about. Brock Purdy's been sacked 8 times in 2 games, and I don't look at the Vikings as having one of the better pass rushes. So they're beat up, and they're not protecting Brock Purdy. But thank God, they still have a very good deck without Debo and Christian McCaffrey. Shanahan's remarkable, but they're not the same team without McCaffrey and Debo. They're not. That's why I put them 9.
Number 8.
I don't know what to do with the Seahawks. Geno Smith, to his credit, like Baker Mayfield, playing really well. Dude's completing 74% of his throws. Well, he's played this team and he's played that team. Here's all I know. The last 2 drafts were excellent. In fact, I could argue the last 3 drafts are excellent, and I'm seeing this young defensive coach like a D'Amico Ryans do really cool things. DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith, and Jigba are tremendous. And Tyler Lockett, I love their weapons. Running back, tight end, wide receiver, and I've been critical of Geno Smith. You can win a lot of games in this league when your quarterback is a big guy that's accurate at 74%. I put them at 8.
Number 7.
The Bucs. I buy into it. Again, Baker's playing his butt off. 8-2 over his last 10 starts. He and Chris Godwin are totally connecting. Now, the Denver game this week is sneaky. And they're, right now, though, to go to Detroit, they went in there all banged up and injury-riddled, and they won. So I buy Tampa. I buy Baker. He's playing with a ton of confidence. I've always thought Todd Bowles a good defensive coach. In New York, I didn't think he was quite ready for New York. If his first job would have been in Tampa, it may have been different. But in New York, they're impatient. I like the coach, and I like the quarterback. I have them at 7.
Number 6.
The Vikings. I don't know how long it's going to last. I mean, they lead the NFL with 11 sacks. I don't think that's going to last over the course of a season. But they are 9-0 under this head coach, Kevin O'Connell, when they tie or win the turnover battle. So, I mean, he's cleaned up Sam Darnold significantly. That's what he does. He is the quarterback whisperer, the tall Sean McVay. Sam Darnold, I mean, even the Fred Warner interception. Fred Warner's the best linebacker in football. How many other linebackers get that ball? I mean, Darnold led a game-winning, clinching drive without Jefferson, Addison, and T.J. Hawkinson. I think we may have the best young coach in football in Minnesota. I have the Vikings at 6.
Number 5.
I like the Saints. Let's not go crazy. I need one more week of the Saints. Derek Carr, I got to give him credit, though. The run game, Alvin Kamara is a beast, and they are leaning on it heavy. They have the highest rushing percentage, 64% in the NFL through the first 2 weeks. And Clint Kubiak, again, from the Niners system, these quarterbacks get the Niners system, and they look different. Alvin Kamara has been a beast. It's just a new team that's shocking everybody. I want one more week, but I have them at 5.
Number 4.
You know what I like about the Bills? First time in 7-8 years, they have a star running back. They can run the football now. 9-2 since offensive coordinator Joe Brady arrived. So Josh Allen has been very dependent on offensive coordinators to clean him up. This is a new offense. The tight ends are excellent. Receivers don't have a star, but they have depth. And James Cook's a baller. So he is one of 2 quarterbacks in the league. If I'd have told you there's 2 quarterbacks in the league without a turnover, one of them's Josh Allen. Again, he's very coordinator dependent. Mahomes isn't. I don't think Joe Burrow is. Allen is, and he looks good there at 4.
Number 3.
I buy the Chargers. Their tackles, Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, were the 2 highest weighted tackles in the entire league. The only flaw with Kansas City is their strength. J.K. Dobbins looks like Buckeye J.K. Dobbins. Herbert, for the record, is 18-0 when his team allows less than 20 points. He just needs a coach. Now, I don't think their defense will remain this viable, but they have 2 pass rushers, 2 elite tackles, a run game. That bus receiver, Quentin Johnston, he can play. This is a real team. I think this is a real team. Kansas City, good, not yet, but a real team.
Number 2.
I buy the Texans. I didn't even think they played well against Chicago. They're young, and I could see them getting to the AFC Championship and making a silly play and losing to Kansas City. C.J. Stroud is insane. That kid is the most effortlessly accurate guy outside of maybe Burrow and Mahomes in the league. Nico Collins, his size, and they're comparing him to Andre Johnson. They got multiple weapons, a great left tackle, the quarterback, the coach, the culture, the defense right now, a lot of sacks. Again, Chargers, Texans, I buy. Saints, I kind of buy. Steelers at 2-0, don't make the hierarchy. And number 1. Listen, I do worry. I don't think they're very good at tackle. They were not very good on 3rd down against the Bengals. They got to clean that up where they go get somebody at the trade deadline. It is hard to win a Super Bowl, even with Mahomes, if you don't love the offensive line, and I don't. But I think their coaching, their structure, their defense, Chris Jones. Now, Travis Kelce, I don't worry too much about because he was invisible for spots last year. Then, like Gronk, arrived when it mattered. I don't worry about that. I also think they've, even though Hollywood Brown's not going to be back for a while, I think their weapons feel significant. upgrades to me. Hi, everybody. It's me.
Okay, so what do you think of his top 10? Can you hear me?
I was still on mute.
Oh, okay.
I think it's interesting. I appreciate that he's not going by just like the overall, for the most part, he's not just going by like the overall history. Seems like he's going by the actual play in the last 2 weeks. And so going into week 3, who is he like most,
Yeah.
impressed by? The only caveat to that is it feels like the only reason Kansas City is still at number 1 after that play is because, well, maybe because of Mahomes, and so maybe that's fair, but because they're the Super Bowl winners,
Yeah.
whereas the 49ers, who are the NFC champions, he's dropped to 9 simply because the Vikings played well. like, he's talking about 8 sacks. 6 of those are from the Vikings, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think they had 6 sacks in the
And some,
in
so
his
I would just 9 seemed really low for the Niners.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think that was entirely fair. Like if you're going to keep Kansas City at 1, like again, like I said, I thought the 49ers played better in game 2 than Kansas City played in their game 2.
Yeah,
If that
yeah,
um and based on his power rankings here, he had the 49ers playing a better team than Kansas City played.
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
So how would you rearrange it?
I think I would put. I think I would put the Niners at 2.
So keep the Chiefs at 1?
Yeah, I think I would keep the Chiefs at 1 because I think I'm still, and maybe this is just going off of vibes, which is fine because I don't have a lot of data. I think I would put the Niners if so. Let me rank these teams based on who I would be afraid of the Vikings playing. um, I think I would have the most trepidation about the Chiefs. If my team was playing the Chiefs, I would be like, ugh, I don't, because yeah, I think it comes down to Mahomes and Reed. It's just like they always find a way. They just always find a way. Um, even if they're playing bad. Then I would do the Niners. Um,
And the thing, just to interject a little bit,
yeah,
the thing that makes Mahomes so dangerous is so you have O'Connell who's got an incredible offensive mind, and
right,
you have other guys like I thought his point about Josh Allen being coordinator dependent
right,
was a really good point. What makes Mahomes and Reed so dangerous is that Mahomes has a really good offensive mind, and he's the guy controlling the ball. Like
right,
there are very few other teams who have the QB that has the IQ that
right.
Mahomes has for football, plus working with a really good offensive play caller. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, and then I would probably put the Seahawks at 10 and the Saints at Seahawks at 10, Bengals at 9, Saints at 8. Um, and I haven't looked at the Chargers at all. I gotta confess. Like I don't. I'm super surprised that they're in the top 5.
yeah,
But they have a really good quarterback. They have a really good coach, and so I guess we'll see. What did he say about them?
yeah,
I guess he's talking about their line. and their skill players, I guess, is what he was commenting on them about. But
Their defense they've only given up 13 points out of 2 games so far.
okay, that's impressive. So let me think this through. So 1 Kansas City, 2 Niners, and then 3 Texans, and then I'd probably leave the Bills at 4, put the Chargers at 5, and then leave the the Vikings at 6, Bucks at 7, and then the Saints. Is that how I said it? Where did
Yeah,
I say I was putting the Saints?
Saints at 8, Bengals at 9, Seahawks at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. I like arranging it, or the way you said it, like what would make you most nervous if your team was playing it. I wasn't thinking it through in that way, but I think I agree with you if I think it through in that way. Um, the fact that the Vikings beat the 49ers gives me a lot of confidence going into the Texans game. So I think
Yeah.
Texans are below 49ers. Um, yeah. Yeah, I like that. I think that's a fair arrangement. I was thinking through based on what I've seen just in these 2 weeks. So if I'm just going to scrap, like forget who was in the Super Bowl last year,
Mm-hmm.
let's just go off of what we've seen in these 2 weeks. Of and as I was thinking about this, I was like, I would put the Vikings in 1 because the Chiefs are this. So like none of the other teams have beat any of the other 10 on here. The
Mm-hmm.
Vikings beat the Niners and the Chiefs beat the Bengals. So,
Yeah.
like, based on that, technically you could say, I'm not going to put the Vikings in 1 because I don't think they've actually played the best. And I don't think they have the threat. Like, so I was seeing Nick Wright critique this list, and he was out on the Chargers at 3.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna mix things up based on, like, I was really disappointed in what I saw from the Chiefs after week 2. I'm really impressed in what I see in the Chargers out of 2 weeks. And I think Herbert is a much more dependable quarterback than the Vikings, than Sam Darnold with the Vikings. And so if we're looking at how this has gone so far, the Chargers beat the Raiders 22-10 in week 1, and then they beat the Panthers 26-3. The Raiders, in week 1, we thought, well, what is that? But the Raiders turn around, they beat the Ravens, who were in the NFC Championship last year. Now I just said we're putting that out of, but the Raiders beat the Ravens. The Chargers beat them by 2 scores. Kansas City barely beat the Ravens in week 1. So I'm like, to my shock, I'm going to put the Chargers first
Oh
at
wow.
top.
Okay.
Based on, I think we're
Sure.
seeing the most consistent. How long that'll last, I have no
Yeah.
clue. Like next week, maybe I'm completely whacked, but I'm going to put Chargers as the top ranked team here out of this so far. And then the second, I want to put the Vikings. I think.
What about the Saints?
Well, so I was thinking about the Saints. Like the Saints have blown. Yeah, let's just put the Saints in number 2. They have shown the strongest offense and a decent defense. Like the Saints always have a competitive defense. So let's put Saints in there at 2. There again, I think Derek Carr. I think he's a mediocre QB, but I think he is probably a little bit more dependable. Like by week 5 or 6, Sam Darnold may have proven himself, but I'm still enough insecure about Sam Darnold that I'm not gonna, like, I really love the Vikings defense. I think they'll be a top 5 defense, but let's just see how, if the Vikings defense wasn't as good as they are, the 49ers could have beaten us. Like our offense, we had some explosive, that
Yeah.
97-yard touchdown pass, like that was beautiful, whatever. But our defense won us the game.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Now the offense, like one thing that was unique is the offense scored. Like how many times did we see with Kirk Cousins 3 and outs and you'd have to punt it away?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like
yeah.
at least we were scoring field goals
We'd
in that
be in
game.
a good spot, and then
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I'll put the Saints in third. I'm going to put Saints in second. I'm going to put the Chiefs in third. And there again, a lot of it comes back to Mahomes is going to find ways to win, even when they're playing bad, when they're playing crappy.
Right.
I think the Texans deserve a second. They've played well so far. I'm going to put the Niners. I think the Niners deserve to still be above the Vikings. Like I think there's a bigger chance that the Niners are in the hunt for there's a bigger chance you see the Niners in the NFC Championship game than there is the Vikings. Like the Vikings certainly still have a lot to prove. So I'll keep the Vikings at 6. Who do we have now? I'll do the Bills at 7. And then I'm going to put Bucks above the Bengals. Well, they are, but you had them above. Bucks at 8. Seahawks at 9, and then I'm gonna agree with. I don't think the Bengals should be in this list. I think the Steelers should be in this list, but he has the Bengals in this list, so I'll keep them at 10. Chargers, Saints, Chiefs, Texans, 49ers, Vikings, Bills, Bucks, Seahawks, Bengals. That's how I would arrange it. That's not at all like if I'm like, yeah, what we know of the organization, what we kind of expect throughout the rest of the season, I would arrange it differently. It'd probably look more like yours. But but I'm just like when I look at these well, the first 2 weeks, like off the first 2 games that we've seen, like who's ranking, I think you have to give the Chargers their flowers. And that's probably the only flowers they're going to get in the division with the Chiefs.
Yeah, unless they can keep it up. It'd be interesting.
Yeah. See what they do against a real team. Like the Raiders beat the Ravens, the Chiefs. That was literally my logic. Like the Chiefs barely beat the Ravens, the Raiders beat the Ravens, and the Chargers beat the Raiders handily. And so you're right. That was week 1. Week 1s are always flukes, but anyways. So now to close out our time, let's make our week 3 predictions. Goodness, I thought if we had a nice clear organization, we'd have this done in 40 minutes or so, and here it is over an hour.
Keep working at it.
So I don't know. Can you see this? Scroll across the top. Actually, let me just pull it up here, so we scroll down through it. Week 3. So tomorrow night we have the Jets going against the Patriots. Who do you have in that game?
Oh, that's a hard one. I'm still gonna go with the Jets. I think.
I'll follow you. I'll go with. I thought the Titans would clean up and not fall apart again, but yeah, I'm not sure about the Titans and the Jets.
The Titans. I don't really know anything about their new coach, but I do know organizationally it was absurd to fire Mike Vrabel last year. And I can't imagine that they would be better with a rookie head coach than they were with Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, that's fair. I was kind of buying. Rich Eisen has them as a sleeper team because everybody whenever they call in and do their win-loss record, everybody has their team, whoever the team is, beating the Titans. And I was kind of buying into that. I was like, you know what, because they have some pretty good weapons. They have Hopkins as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
They've got Snead as a corner, Calvin Ridley, and Will Levis looked pretty good for chunks of last year.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have like a end of year resurgence and like sneak into the playoffs.
But anyways, that was last week. When it comes to this week, I do agree. I think the Jets are stronger against the Patriots. Browns versus Giants.
Battle for the bottom. Browns.
What do you think is going to be the higher total? The number of... No, I don't know. I don't have anything. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah,
let's just put it that way. Yeah. Bears versus Colts.
This is an interesting game. I think Colts are better than what they're playing. I forgot that the Bears won their first game.
Well, but that was against the Titans that imploded.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
The Bears defense had two return touchdowns.
I'm gonna say the Colts get their first win.
I'm with you. I think the Colts have played decently. They hung in there against who did they play in week 1? I don't have it here. But yeah, they weren't like out of it in week 1. Yeah, it's going to drive me crazy now. Who did they play in week 1?
Who, the Colts?
Yeah.
Did they play the Browns?
No, the Cowboys played the Browns.
Oh, that's right.
Anyways, yeah, I think the Colts get a win.
They played the
Vikings.
Texans.
Did they play the Texans? Yeah, that's right.
It was
like a 2-point difference, right?
Yeah. 29-27.
Vikings versus Texans.
So in my season-long prediction, I have them losing to the Texans. I'm tempted, for several reasons, I'm tempted to stick with that because we don't need them to win this game because I think there's plenty of wins down the road. And also, I don't want to jinx them. But in my gut, I feel like they can win, and so I'm gonna say that they win.
They're the Vikings. Yeah, I'm right there with you. After seeing how they played against the Niners, and then particularly after seeing how the Texans played against the Bears, I'm like, I think the Vikings can take this game.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, as a Minnesota fan, I have trauma, and I'm like, well, maybe I should not get my hopes up and be like, oh, they'll probably lose, and then watch them win.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'll go with you as well. That I think the Vikings could win it. It'll be a fun game. Texans are good. Sure. Vikings are good. Saints versus Eagles.
This is interesting. The Eagles could come back and have a sort of like a revenge game or like a get back game, but with the way the Saints are playing, I'm gonna take the Saints.
I'm taking Saints as well. I think the Eagles showed that they're way too soft on their pressure for QB, and Derek Carr is very similar to Cousins. If you give him time, he's gonna make good throws. Chargers versus Steelers. That'll be another fun game.
I think the Chargers are gonna blow out the Steelers.
Okay, there you go. Ammo for them being number one. I think too they're gonna win. I don't know about a blowout, but yeah, I think they'll win. Broncos versus Buccaneers. I think Bo Nix will get his first win.
Not against the Buccaneers.
Same here. I've got Bucks winning that one, especially since they're home. Packers versus Titans.
Revenge game for Malik Willis.
Was he with the Titans?
Yeah. They drafted him like 3 years ago.
Oh.
I'm gonna say the Packers. Sorry, Bachiden.
The Packers against the Titans.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out if I need to somehow differentiate from you so that I can score better than you.
Is this the one? This could be the one.
Is this the one to do it on? I think this game could be really close.
Yeah.
We may get our first overtime game of the season.
All right. Write that down.
Can I come back to that? I want to see how you go on all the other ones. Raiders versus Panthers.
Raiders. Sorry, Adam.
Yeah, Raiders. Dolphins versus Seahawks.
This could be an interesting game. Well, no, never mind. I forgot about Tuesday. Yeah, the Seahawks are going.
Yeah, I agree. I think Seahawks win this one. Particularly because Seahawks look pretty good on defense, and Dolphins don't play that well against good defenses.
Yeah.
McDaniels is pretty good. He's definitely why? Yeah. Anyways, why is there the hype around it? I'm starting to wonder how good he actually is. They literally can't win against good teams. There's a narrative that way for a reason.
I think he's charismatic and likable, and I think they've had some really good showings where they just dominated and put up a lot of statistics.
Yeah. Lions versus Cardinals.
Man, the Cardinals. I need to look at more of what the Cardinals have done, because they keep surprising me. But I'm gonna go Lions here.
Okay, so I'm gonna go Packers over Titans with you, and I'm gonna differentiate here and say the Cardinals win.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Cowboys versus Ravens.
These are the two surprising teams as far as how. Well, I guess Ravens the last 2 weeks, Cowboys last week surprised me. So I really feel like it's a get back game. I don't think the Ravens are going to go 0-3, so I think they're going to take it.
I agree. I think Ravens beat Cowboys. Niners versus Rams.
I almost feel bad that they're even still playing this game. The Niners.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. Do you think it'll be a blowout?
Probably. Yeah.
Chiefs versus Falcons.
I don't know who the Rams had.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what. Yeah.
This is an interesting game. I think the Chiefs win, but it'll be interesting to see how the Falcons do.
Yeah. I think Chiefs win too. I think the Falcons win over the Eagles has got their fan base believing in Kirk again, but I think
it always happens.
It's a bit of a fluke. Yeah. Jaguars versus Bills.
Bills for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. Bengals, Commanders.
Bengals get their first win.
Same here. I agree with you. Okay.
All right.
So we'll see. Either you go up by a couple of games, couple of guesses, or we'll be tied after this. Something.
You differentiate just one?
Yeah. I guess I could have done Titans over Packers as well, but I don't know. I think the Titans will make it close. I think, like I said, it could possibly be the first overtime.
I think they're better coached and more experienced.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I have too much respect for the Packers coach.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to say that as a Vikings fan. Do you watch Tom Grossi at all?
I do. Yeah.
He's a Packers fan. Did you watch his one on the Vikings might actually be good?
Yeah, I should go watch that. I hate it when the Packers are likable, because I think both LaFleur and Love are likable people.
Yeah, same here.
The Lion, I kind I kind of like the Lions team. I think they're overrated. But the
It's kind of
Bears
a
are
cool
just like
story
a
for
joke.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The Lions are a cool story.
Yeah, that city needs something like that for
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It
But
would
I do think
be hard to swallow if they got a Super Bowl before the Vikings.
I think if they had not sneaked out a win against the Chiefs in game 1 of last year, I think the narrative around them would be who have they really beaten? Cuz
Oh,
last year they didn't they had a 20-6 win over the Bucks. So that looks significant.
yeah,
But otherwise, if you look at their schedule, they didn't even against an injured Vikings team, they
yeah.
only
They
won
almost
by
beat. Yeah.
6 points or something. Yeah, it wasn't anyways. Okay,
All right.
we'll connect next week and see how we look.
Okay. Good luck.